Okay. So turn it towards you while you're up there.
All right. Yep.
And I'll move the slides for you.
But you want to move the slides?
Yeah, I'll move the slides
Sure.
for you.
All right. All right. There you go. That's not going to make noise. House. So this is a great crowd.
Microphone right there.
Oh.
Right up.
Hello, hello.
Is it switched on?
Hello, hello, hello. Not working? You hear me? Louder? Louder? Okay, talk more.
Talk really loud.
that speakers are one.
Ah, so what's working? Why am I talking? Hello, hello. Better? All right, good. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for showing up tonight. This is a great crowd. Certainly one of the reasons is we have a great speaker tonight, Antonio Rodrigues, owner of Front Range Anglers. We'll get to Antonio a little bit more here in a minute. So just have a few kind of intro slides here that we'd like to step through, kind of the standard thing that we do for each of our chapter meetings. And actually, we've only got one more for this session. It'll be next month, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But if you want to make a difference, you can talk to one of the members. Board members kind of raise their hand. You can identify people in the crowd. So anytime after the presentation, if you have any questions or anything else, just flag one of us down. But we've got a lot of ways to stay connected. Boulder Flycasters at gmail.com is our email address. Online social media, boulderflycasters.org. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. If you're not connected to any of those, let us know. We can hook you up with that as well. If there's other forms of social media that you tend to use that we might be able to, distribute our information on, certainly let us know and we'll try and do that as well. If you want to become a TU member, which I strongly encourage if you already are not, tu.org memberships and giving membership. The adult charge is $35, $10 for additional family member, and young adults are half that price, like $17.50. So a great organization to be part of. And also, if you want to get involved locally, you can talk to one of our members, as I just mentioned. You can attend a chapter meeting, which you're all doing right now. And you can contact us at boulderflycasters@gmail.com again. So if you want to be what we consider to be a supporting member and make a donation to boulderflycasters.org or Boulder Flycasters, you can receive a 10% discount at Front Range Anglers and Rocky Mountain Anglers as well. We've got information on our website. We've also got a QR code here you can look at as well. But that's $50 a year, and all that money goes right to our projects, education and outreach. There's a lot of things that we're involved with, so that money only goes to good use. So if you're interested in making a donation of $50, that would be greatly appreciated. So some local events that are coming on that are free, March of this month. This month at Rocky Mountain Anglers, we have the Rocky Mountain Angler, the upslope bugs and brews, fly tying. That's March 11th at 6 p.m. And then also at their shop, intermediate tying class called the Game Changer, and that's on Saturday, March 9th at 11 a.m. Front Range Anglers at the shop, there's an Orbis 101 fly fishing class, and that's every Saturday at 10 o'clock. And if you have more questions about that, Antonio, I think can certainly give you some more information on that. So again, Antonio Rodrigues. Actually, Stephen's going to do a little more introduction to him. I think there's one more slide. Is that it?
He'll be after.
Oh, that one's after?
Yeah.
Okay.
Change before that.
Yeah. Get out there.
I'm trapped.
Thanks, Brad.
All right.
Again, welcome everybody. I'm Stephen Brandt, the interim president of Boulder Flycasters. Here in Boulder.
Turn up the volume or hold
All the way.
Use the microphone. We're really excited to have Antonio here with us tonight. Antonio's been a big supporter of not only Proud Unlimited, but also Boulder Flycasters over the years. He is a well-known international fly fisherman, representing his home country of Portugal on their national team. He's a great instructor for casting, guiding, etc. And he revealed to me one day in the last year that fishing the Middle Colorado is his most favorite place to go. So I said, I think we have a speaker topic.
That was a mistake.
I also remember 2 pit roasts ago, we were out at Boulder Reservoir. Antonio showed up, had a little bit of glazed look in his eyes, and he said, I just bought Front Range Anglers. So here he is. Please give him a warm welcome, and we're looking forward to hearing about the Middle Colorado.
Well, first of all, I think there is a lot of lies in there, right? I didn't have a glaze in my eyes. I had panic. Yeah, so, since I moved to US, years ago, I don't like ice cream. So, since we moved here years ago, me and my family, it was surprising the way, first we were received here by everyone. And then how US was an amazing country to start a new life, and came to a point that I was able to buy a business. So having a club or having institutions like Trout Unlimited that take care of our resource so well gave us the chance to work on this business, work on fly fishing, and then own a business of fly fishing. So thank you all of you for doing that. You are the base and you are the support of all the what is done on the streams. You are the biggest support of the fly shop and everyone that works on the fly fishing business. Thank you for doing that. I would prefer not to talk with on the mic. Is this enough for you guys?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Because this way you don't, I can disguise a little bit of my accent. Like someone used to say my Puerto Rican accent. It was an honor to be invited by Trout Unlimited to do this presentation. Middle Colorado, whatever needed to be done. Every time that Trout Unlimited need our support, our shop support, and myself, we are open to do it for you guys. So thank you. So the presentation today will be about fly fishing the Middle Colorado River. I heard during years how intimidating a big river can be. And coming from the competition side, and competing, being able to fish in huge rivers. Colorado is a small river compared with some rivers that I fish in Norway, that I fish in Sweden, that I fish in Finland. And coming from Portugal, where the rivers are very small, was intimidating too. And what we learned going to a world championship and looking to a river that was 100 times bigger than the creeks we used to fish in Portugal, we need to find a strategy to fish it. And that's why when they asked me about doing a presentation about the Middle Colorado, the first thing I thought was how to approach a river like that, how to look to a river that is 100 times bigger than Boulder Creek. So that's the idea of today, how you should, where you should go in the Colorado River how you should approach the river, what kind of water you should look for, and then flies, gear, and all that. So the Colorado River, the area that I used to fish a lot is between Fort Canyon and down to State Bridge, mostly, most part of the time. That's where everyone knows by floating, but not a lot of people like to wade it. It's gonna be complicated. It's overwhelming, so that's, so I based the presentation today on that. So first, front range anglers, you guys know, most part of you are from Boulder and Boulder area. The shop is here since 1982. That is 40, almost, it'll be 42 years in November this year. We are a full shop, with a guide service, adventure travel service. We promote guide trips. We have all the gear you need to fish wherever you go in the world. And as you know, it's on Pearl Street. So I hope you can see everything around here. So like I said, the area that we're gonna focus will be between Gore Canyon and Gore Canyon and then State Bridge. How to access there. Colorado Road number 1 is also known as Straw Road. It goes from Kremlin basically until State Bridge. Then you can access to Walcott from there. You have 2 main areas that I like to fish. The first one is all this area between Gore Canyon around here and going to Pump House and then down. It'll be easy to access because you have the access to Pump House. You can park in Pump House area, campground. You can camp in there. You can bring the family. There's a lot of things you can do there. First thing you need to do, let all those boats go down. Let them go. So everyone is every morning at the Pump House during, I would say from May to September, October is craziness. But it's just that couple hours in the morning. After everyone goes down from the boat ramps, all this area is amazing fishing. Different, slow water down here. You have a lot of riffles that go on these islands. And then of course you have the canyon area that will have deeper pools, a little bit more of pocket water and heavy water. The second area, you have this Rancho del Rio area. It's another place that you can park, easy to access. You came to Trough Road, or you can camp on Highway 131 from Walcott until State Bridge, and then go up to Rancho. Rancho area is very good too. There is some islands in here. It's easy to park and then access up and down. All these areas here on the Trough Road, there is a lot of parking spots you can park and fish. And then on nearby State Bridge, it's a good parking spot, and all this area is good to fish. And I don't think I should say this. There's a little river here that I would say September, October. Some of the big browns from the Colorado will go up. And if any grasshopper will make a day in there. I fished it a couple times. Sometimes I would even feel sorry for those fish. The river is so small and the fish can be so big that you send them hook on a fish and they don't have a place to go. So these are another amazing place to fish. You can always go down. There's a lot of parking spots that you can fish. But these 2 main areas, I think Rancho del Rio, State Bridge area, and going back, Pump House area is huge. You can spend, if you're patient, you can spend 3 or 4 days camping in there and fishing, and you don't need to step the same water. There's a couple tricks that I'm gonna show you how, because there's so many anglers in Colorado that you imagine the water that everyone knows that is fish on. There's a lot of pressure on them. what those, most part of the anglers do, when they step on the water to fish that main water, they are smoking fish that is on the bank and that easier to catch than the ones on the fast water. So we'll talk about it. So first thing about the Colorado River. It's easy to wade. There's a lot of gravel, a lot of sand on it. You can bring your family. People that like to float it, they float it, but if you can bring your family, you can, this is just the pump below the lower part of the pump house. I would say. So the picture we see here is down here on this sandbank. So that's what I came here with the family. You can camp with the family. You can start down here. It's super easy to wade since down there until I would say up here. From here up is a different game. It's an easy river to wade. The fishing, you need to be a little bit patient. Water temperatures will change a lot on the Colorado River because I do a very wide open area. The temperature can go up during the day a lot. The fish will slow down, and you need to understand what is going on. You feel that wide open areas, slow water, the fish are slow down. Look for places where we have fast water with more oxygen and lower temperatures. So, species you can get on the Colorado, I would say that right now is probably, I would say 60% grounds, 40% rainbows. And I'm being optimistic, it's less and less rainbows catch on the Colorado. Some whitefish, and if you enjoy nipping for whitefish, I think they are super fun. Like you see, super easy to. This is near Rancho del Rio. This is the middle of the river. When you look to that river, on your perspective, if you don't see the bottom, if you don't have an idea, everything is deep. This is the middle of the river, and this was, I would say, late August, 2 years ago. So super easy to fish, super easy to wade. Most part of the bottom is gravel. So even for people that have some struggle, that struggle a little bit, wading fast water, Colorado is super easy to fish. It's a river that can fish almost year round. Of course, from December to, I would say, March, a lot of these spots will freeze over, but if not, you can fish all year round. That's what make me fish so many hours on the Colorado is we're a big river. You can fish a lot of days a year. And the picture you saw before, this one's here, is exactly here. But this guy is standing during the winter. So if you like to fish with dry flies, you are a very patient angler, this is the place to go. So when you look to a river like the Colorado, you look, it's 150 yards wide, or 100 yards wide, or 50 yards wide. And you are used to fish little creeks like Bowling, like the big dumps. Your mindset should be, let's look at this river and divide it in a group of small rivers. Look for little pockets that you can cross and fish. Every little pocket like this, every little seam like this. It's impressive the number of fish you have there, especially on the Colorado. What happens on the Colorado, this rapid, for example? I've been sitting on these rocks a lot of times and see boats going down. This rapid is probably 300 yards long. I see the anglers, they do a cast here, cast here, cast right there, the forecast max on that area. How many little pockets like this do you have? Hundreds. How many fish you gonna miss? They miss hundreds. If you can access wading and fish every single one of them, you're gonna be surprised how friendly those fish are. And sometimes it's even annoying. I use one pattern that I never saw catching with. One of my favorite patterns to use is a big marsh brown. I never saw marsh brown in Colorado. But on this riffle, I did a lot of damage already with that fly. And they do it again. And again, the reason is, it's not the fly, it's the pressure. Those fish don't have any pressure. Everyone likes to float it. It's a beautiful river to float, easy to float. Fishing wise, floating, you don't have, I would say 10% of the chances that you have when you win. So when you look to a water like this and you walk it, every single little pocket, there'll be fish in there. This is the beginning of that same riffle. Anything, this is the middle of the river right here. You know, you're in the middle of the river fishing to the bank. And why is that? I was born in a country where the Colorado, where the brown trout are native. I know how they behave. If there is 100 browns in that spot and 5,000 rainbows, I know that I can catch the browns. I don't know if I can catch the browns. It's crazy, right? Rainbows can drive me crazy, the behavior they have and the way they are harder to catch for me. So the Colorado has a good number of browns, and I know what they do. They are so smart. They know, for example, this time of year was beginning of June. Stoneflies were not hatching yet, but I knew those browns will be on the bank because I know that all the nymphs from the stoneflies will crawl to the bank to hatch. And we went to the middle of the river and we fished up and down from the middle to the banks. All the browns are right here, one after the other, with a dry fly, with a caddis, a big caddis, or a big stonefly, and they were all there. So what I need to think is the main waters will be, the air waters will be the riffles, the seams, the middle of the water. That's what everyone thinks. Yes, it is. Everyone forgets this. And that's my first, before I step on the water, or if I came to that bank, or I came from this bank, first thing I'll fish is in the bank. That's where the easiest fish are. Usually people step in there for access to blue water, they scoop at those fish. So try to take it a little bit out of the box and think, hey, I'm another angler accessing this. What should I do? Step in and fish. That's what everyone does. So I think before I step in, throw a fly there. You're gonna have some surprises. And that came not of a lot of years studying in the Colorado, but of a lot of years competing. And when you are competing in 100 yards of, you have 100 yards of river, you have 3 hours. You are the fifth angler fishing there that same weekend. You know that those fish are hammered. The best water of that spot is hammered. You need to look for a place, a little corner to get one fish to save your life. And that made us do that. Or step on the water, look to it. There is water here, there's a chance there is a fish in there. So pick every single corner and fish every single corner. That's why we fishing for brown, we start fishing a lot, every single little corner, every single spot you have. For the fishing we do, this is not, by the way, this is not the Colorado, this is the Blue River, the Blue Green Mountain. I had some slides about the blue, but I thought after 20 minutes of talking, people are gonna get annoyed of me, so I did it only about the Colorado. So I took all the slides about the blue from here. I'm gonna explain the gear I use for the kind of fishing I do on the Colorado. Of course, everyone has chest waders, studded boots. This is important for safety. Little studs on your boots can save your life. A lot of times that you start a lot of parts that you have with a lot of rocks. Be careful. Put some studs on your boots. If you feel that you don't have enough traction, put some studs on your boots. I like to use chest packs on the vest to keep those flies and everything higher. A landing net usually big. And the rods. My rods are like 10 or 10 and a half, 3 or 4 weight. And you can ask, why do you fish the Colorado with a 3-weight rod? First reason I had that, and I need to admit it, when I moved from Portugal to Colorado, I brought 3 rods, a 2 3-weights, no, a 2-weight, a 3 and a 4. I broke the 4-weight the first week I came here. I didn't have money to buy others, so that's when I started fishing. First week I was here, I had a friend, and they invited me. We went and fished Colorado. So I fished the Colorado with a 10-foot 3-weight, and it was surprising how you can fight a big fish with a 10-foot 3-weight rod. And the way brands now design rods, 3-weight can almost fight a fish as well as the 5-weight. The reason I use a 3-weight more is, besides that, I can use way lighter tippet. And why do I use a 10-foot long? I can reach more water. I can control better my drifts. Sometimes there is a misconcept. Well, if I have a 10-foot long or 11-foot long, I can cast better. No, a 9-foot long rod casts better than a 10, and a 10 casts better than an 11. What you have better than a 10 is more accurate than an 11, and a 9 is more accurate than a 10. If you want to compromise in there, use a 10-foot. I can fish single rise, ride dropper, URNF rigs with the same rod, the same day, without changing the leader, nothing else. The only thing I change is my flies and position of my flies. There is several brands on the market that do great rods on 10-foot longs. Sage has a model ESN. The 10-foot long is a great rod. Thomas & Thomas 10-foot 3-weight is a great rod. Hardy has some good rods also in the same length. If you think you want to go down deep on your anything, go to an 11-foot long. I don't. I competed during a lot of years. My fly rod, my number 1 fly rod fish is a 10-foot 3-weight. I made a mistake last summer. I went to Iceland with a group of anglers, and I thought I will be the host. We're going to be fishing for Atlantic salmon. I'm going to fish for browns. I'll let them fish for salmon. I'll fish for browns. And I was, by the first time, I landed an Atlantic salmon on a 10-foot 3-weight rod. It was not on the schedule, but it happened. So I've been lucky. I've been lucky enough to do that. So reel wise, any reel that balances your rod, that avoids you to try to compensate weights because longer rods, they tend to be slightly heavier, and you try to compensate it pulling up because the reel is too light and pull it up a little bit, or if the reel is too heavy, you try to compensate it. And if you fish 8-10 hours a day, start feeling some pain right here, and you can get some tennis elbow. So a little bit of a balance on your reel compared with your rod is very important. Brand doesn't matter. One of the reels that I use, size of the reel, line size is a 3-weight, 4-weight, a 5-weight. Reel, that doesn't matter. What you need is a good balance. This one, for example, that I use on one of my URNF rods is a 7/8, but the reel is so light if I need to go to a 7/8 size to compensate it. The reason I choose that reel, for example, the Ross Evolution LTX. When you have a big fish or a fish that runs in a fast water and you're fishing with 7X or 8X, what's gonna happen? If the drag system to start releasing line has a little hiccup, it's gonna break off right away. So you need a reel that the drag is so sensitive that when that fish runs, there is no hiccups and it doesn't break off. So that's what is important. Brand doesn't matter. What is matter is the balance and a good drag system. Fly lines, I tend to use a lot of double tapers or trot profiles. I like lines that are smooth, that land on the water smooth. They're light, like the double tapers are, super light. So if you need to do kind of urinip style fishing, you can use it. I have the same rig, on the same rig I fish urinifing, fish dry flies, I fish dry rocker. So need to get a good balance in there. Usually a 2 or 3 weight is what I use mostly. The 4-weight line is just when I go to a place and I know that I need to fish super heavy or the fish are very strong. Leaders, I used to have a group of leaders that I fished with. I made it simple for in the last 10 years. Forget the brand, forget whatever. A taper leader. A couple spots with some bicolor indicator. A little bit of 4X mono. And then here, most part of the people use a different ring because they think they're gonna urinate and all that. If you buy a leader like Amco has, I have an example here, the Phantom, a little like this, it comes with a different ring at the end. I cut it off and I build a small loop. And the reason is very simple. It's great for your nymphing. But if you're gonna cast a tipper ring with a dry fly, that area of the leader is gonna sink. So fishing calm water, when you take that fly out again to a recast, because of the loop is the tipper ring is already sinking, you gotta bring your fly down and you're gonna sink, you're gonna soak your fly, and you're gonna make a weird noise on the water. You're gonna scoop the fish. So the first thing I do always take the tipper ring out and put a loop out. The reason I call it a hybrid leader, and the reason is it's a 50-foot long leader with some color indicator. And then I can, for example, put some pipet, 5, 6, or 7X that we can use. A tag, a little tag here, and you can use a nymph, 2 nymphs, and you're nymphing. You're nymphing, and you see a couple of fish rising. Don't throw your nymphs in there. Just take this nymph out. Take this nymph out. Grab a dry fly, put it in here. Leave this tag loose. Put a dry fly in there. The fish don't care about that tag. They got thing. And you're gonna fish a single dry with the Euronymph leader. Right? If you want to fish dry rocker, take the first nymph out, put a dry in there, and you fish the dry rocker. So you can fish double nymph, dry rocker, or single dry with the same leader, just changing the flies on air, nothing else. I got lazy with time. So that's why I came to a point that I started using this system so often that now it's hard for me to go to a pure Euronymph leader or to pure dry fly leader. I use this 99.9% of my time fishing. Yes.
Can you link the ticket or just tie the ticket to the loop?
Like here?
Yeah.
I tie it with a clinch knot, cinch knot. A cinch knot or a Davy knot. I use a Davy knot a lot. So it's like you have a tipper ring here, but it's just a loop. And I can teach a couple tricks to make those loops very, very small, the size of the tipper ring. And the advantage, of course, they don't sink. They don't sink. And of course, when you're fishing with a 7X tippet, if you have a a tipper ring here, you're casting it and you see how the loop doesn't open normally. You see that tipper ring landing and then the tippet after that. So that's why I changed from a tipper ring to a loop knot years ago. First time I fished with something similar was in Sweden, 2005. We were fishing on the World Championship when we were practicing. And the rivers were so big that for us to bring 2 rods or go back to the bank and grab another rod to fish for dries was hard. Couple of situations, we crossed the river to the other side. We get there with our nymph rod and we saw grayling and trout rising. Turn around, walk 200 yards on those rivers and swim, get a rod and came back. Using 2 rods was impossible. Rivers were deep. There were spots that would fall down, break the rod easily. So we need to find a way to do this. That's why we came back. We came to this, something similar to this rig that we could urinate, dry the rubber and dries without losing time. When you are competing, of course. When you are competing, you have time. It's you against the river on those 3 hours. And every minute you spend doing anything of that is losing time. So that's why we can do something similar. And I got so comfortable with it. That's basically what I fish most part of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
What knot would you use for that upper right there?
Here,
There, yes.
I do a triple searcher. Like I said, knots. It's something that people don't talk a lot. You can go to the web and see 1,000 knots. Use the knot you trust more. Because that's one, wherever you do, they can tell, oh, this knot is 10%, 20% stronger. Use the one you trust more.
Do you actually use 7X on that Colorado? You feel the need to sometimes be. On 7?
This is an example. When I fish in Colorado, I start with 7X. I go to 8. I can go to 9. And I fish a couple times with 10X too. I fished Colorado, I fished Cheeseman Canyon, I fished the frying pan. And when I'm fishing a single ride, I put a 10X. It's not because it's better, is coming from the competing world. I need a challenge. And it is funny then, if I start with a 5X and I don't catch a fish, on my brain, the first thing I think is, I'm fishing too heavy on tippet. It is not. I see friends of mine fishing with 4X and I fish with 7. They have the same number of takes that I do with 7. But in my brain, it is what I think. I think the tippet factor is the first one I cut off right away.
Mono or floral?
That's a good question. It was down the slides. If I'm fishing nymphs, if I'm fishing your nymphing, I prefer floral. Fish for dry flies, 100% nylon. 100% nylon.
So how much bigger and different do you have with it?
Usually I fish a 10-foot rod is two times my rod. Leader tippet is 20 feet around there. You can fish shorter than that, but on the waters like the Colorado that have a lot of slow water, I like to be able to do a cast in a way that I don't do a lot of mendings when I cast. So if the river is running from here to there, and I have a fish here rising, I tend to not cast from here to there. I tend to walk here and cast. My fly needs to land here, and my leader and my line needs to do this. So I don't cast straight. I cast sideways like this. When you have a 20-foot long leader, you lose energy at the end. So your line will land like this, and your leader lands like this. So when they go down, the first thing that the fish will see is white.
You use a strike indicator?
No. I use, when I need to, when I have the need to fish and use an indicator, I use a dry drop rig. Sometimes with two nips and long and then a dry. And it's not because I have anything against strike indicators, it was not. Where I learned how to fly fish, we didn't have even strike indicators. So I learned how to fly, dry fly, dry dropper, and then nymphing. And when I came to US, I learned that what we were doing here was euro nymphing. The euro nymphing concept, the first time I heard about it, after competing 300 tournaments, 9 world championships, the first time I heard about euro nymphing was when I came to US. So when someone asked me, hey, do you do a lot of euro nymphing? I thought, I don't know. So, and then, well, your rig is your nymph rig, so, no, just, for me, this is nymphing, it's how we all nymphing here, so.
Now in Slovenia, they didn't even use the fly line.
The bottom,
on filament, heavy fly.
yes, that is true. There was a change in 2011, competing wise, that forbidden the use of the max length of your leader and tippet was twice your rod. Because everyone was fishing just with mono, and everyone was questioning, this is not fly fishing. Fly fishing, you need a fly rod, fly line, and flies. And there is no fly line, and there was not. So that's when the rule came, max twice your rod. The max length of a rod in competing is about 11 foot. So basically, 20 foot is the max you can use. But yes, that is very used in Europe.
You build different meters out of.
I prefer to use by technical leaders. They turn better the flies. By the way, so this section of the leader is a 15-foot leader, technical leader, that ends in a 3x. And then I have the bipolar 3x and then 4x here. And the reason is, if you reduce the number of knots on a leader, you reduce the number of tangents you're gonna have.
I always lose my fish, not between like 5x and 6x. Even the nice ones are red.
Then a couple of things that can be happening. You have a very stiff rod, and it goes smoother on the rod. You are very strong, and I said it, I'm too strong. Or what's happening, the knots you're using are not good knots, so you need to be careful. Right? So the reason I changed to we changed to taper leader is to reduce the number of knots. So breaking, so 3 points on the leader is one of them, so you don't break as much. The number of tangles is way less. So yes, here I do a triple surgeon, and on my flies I use a Davy knot, and of course the reason I use a Davy knot is because it's a super small knot. I fish it so for so long that I trust it. I have an example. I got so used to Davy knot that one day I was invited to go to Christmas Island. Was my first time fishing on salt water for big fish. My first concern when I had a big fish on was the knot, because I did a single baby knot on a saltwater fish, and everyone, you crazy. Is the knot I trust? Is not the strongest knot for saltwater, for example. That is the knot I trust, and no one is gonna take me out of that. The guides when I'm fishing on saltwater, they always change to loop knots and all that. Sometimes I have the fly with me, I change fly, I go to my Davy knot again. It's a matter of trust, and I don't care. Yeah.
So when you fish the Colorado with it, it's supposed to wade fishing, how much would you typically use it?
I use bait. When I'm floating, that's a good question. I don't float a lot in Colorado. I think I lose a lot of spots. I lose a lot. It doesn't let you change and try. But when I fish it, I tend to go a little bit shorter on leaders. Right? Because you cannot do any or anything from above. I go short on leader, I go probably a 12 foot long taper, put 3X, and then I have probably a 6 or 7X. And when I float, 99% of the time, or if not 100%, I tie a dry fly, or a caddis, or a stone, or a grasshopper.
So total length about 15 feet. instead
Yeah,
of
I'll go
20.
shorter. Yeah, you don't have the need. You don't have the need, and you don't have the room. You have someone else with you on the boat. And it's not as easy to turn that leader when you are floating. So this, an example here, this is a urine nymph leader that you can buy from Aqua, is already pre-tied, ready to do urine nymphing. What I will do there, I'll take that tipper ring and put just a little loop knot to avoid if you try to fish with rise, sink. This is what I use probably 99% of the time. A 15-foot long leader to a 3X, and then I have those collars. 2 pieces of collar, a 3 or 4X. Tip it. I had that question, fluorocarbon or nylon. I tend to prefer nylon. More elasticity on it. With rise, and especially with small rise on the Colorado, when we have those big flats and the water is very calm, they need long in length and in time drifts that you're gonna cast. That fly needs to go very slowly doing that drift. A fluorocarbon gonna sink a little bit, because the base fluorocarbon, one of the things that make it invisible is it cuts the water surface and becomes invisible. The nylon will float. So if you have a piece of tippet that is sinking, and you're fishing with long leaders and doing long casts on slow water, it can be difficult to control that drift. Hatches on the Colorado, I think the most hatch on the Colorado by far is the stonefly hatch. Happens on the, usually the last 2 weeks of May, depending on weather and water temperatures. I would say last 2 weeks of May, first 2 weeks of June. If you target those days, I bet with you, we've never missed it. It took me 2 years to figure it out, and I never missed a hatch on sunfly hatch on the Colorado. You cannot be on the core of the hatch. You'll be at the beginning or the tail end. And even if you're there too early, imagine the hatch will happen a week after you've been there. All those nymphs that you see, they are already going to the banks. They crawl to the banks to hatch. The fish will follow them. The fish will be there. If there is a dry fly that hits that bank, those fish gonna eat it. They will be turning to the bank. It's incredible how those fish know. Well, they know because they follow the nymphs, they follow the food. But it's impressive how they're not hatching yet, but the fish are there. So stoneflies is one of the most predictable hatches I found. I know exactly when it happens on the Colorado and on the North Platte. It's about the same time. So last 2 weeks of June, last 2 weeks of May, first 2 weeks of June, there is you won't go far from there. Of course, it's one of the funniest times of year to fish. Usually a good stonefly imitation big with foam for the fast water. For the first fish, they are more aggressive. The core of the fishing during the stonefly hatch, I use a big size caddis, probably a size 10, 12. And the fish are more willing to take this caddis than the stonefly, and they think, well, but that doesn't match a hatch. For us, it does for the fish. A lot of the stoneflies, especially males, are slightly smaller than females. So the fish will trigger on those bigger caddis, for us caddis, for them, it's a bug. They trigger on those fish, on those flies better than they trigger on this. I like to fish a lot with the caddis, especially this one. called Superman because I can see it very well. It's one of the tricks that competing. More than competing, getting old. Getting old, I need something that I can see, and then orange is special. Most part of the flies that I signed doing years, that I fished during years. Lately, I've been applying some full fibers on top. I'll split the wings of the CDC wings with something orange or white, and the reason is it's not for the fish, it's for me, because I cannot see them. So these are two great patterns to fish flies. If you nymph that, and that is a time that you feel that if they are not triggered yet on the rise, it's a couple good patterns. 20-incher is a great pattern. I like the jig pattern, jig form of it. Easier because I don't like to lose flies on the bottom. During high water, the fish are on the bottom to protect themselves. So go heavy, but be careful. The jig hook will save you to lose a lot of flies get stuck on the bottom. So I like the 20-incher is probably the best soft fly pattern I ever fished, especially for the big stones on Colorado. Bass rubber legs, any big stone will work well in there. Caddis flies, I found that late August, September, it's a great time to fish. Look for a caddis hatch on the Colorado. It's harder to see. Of course, the bugs are smaller than stones. They hatch most part of the times. At the end of the day, they like low light conditions to hatch. That's why you have probably nights or end of days on any river that they covered by caddis. They need low light conditions to hatch. So caddis fishing on Colorado can be amazing. Being a big river can be great also to put a couple caddis nymphs or caddis pupas and swing them like you swing some flies on it. So some CDC caddis or the same caddis that I mentioned before will work well. As nymphs, any check nymph pattern will work well. Most part of the colors are 10 or olive. Sizes 14 to size 10. They used to go big. The Colorado and the blue tend to have some big kiss caddis, so don't be shy when you fish with caddis on Colorado. Blowing olives. I found blowing olives on the Colorado and almost everywhere all year round. The only difference between May, June, July, August, September, and November, December, January, February, March is size. Winter mayflies are way smaller. They tend to be very small, between size 20, 22s, 24s. During summer, they can be size 16, 18. And there's the same bug, but I don't know that I'm not as good of a scientist to explain that. If it's water temperature, if it's what it is, but the bugs during summer are slightly bigger. So, like you can see here, there is some orange in there. There's some orange in here. When you fish waters like that, big rivers, they're gonna help you see the flies. So blowing olives all year round, blowing olive nymphing, fishing all year round. There's nothing wrong with put a blowing olive nymph with it. Two examples, with copper and silver bead, two of the good options to fish in Colorado, especially for fast waters. With fishing a deeper pool, I tend to go copper, a little bit of red on the butt. Fish with a dropper rig and do a very slow grip. Sulfurs are not as common as blowing olives or caddis or stoneflies on the Colorado, but usually around late August, September, maybe even October, you probably saw, especially early mornings and then another day, you see a lot of called red quills. A lot of red quills. You're gonna see some bigger red quills in there. Those red quills are sulfurs. During the day, you're gonna see that the hatches are not as heavy as a blowing olive. or the stonefly, but you see some big yellow mayflies. Fish don't trigger the yellow color of those flies on that stage. But then when they came rusty or kind of red color, that's when they trigger. It's on their spinner stage, and can be an amazing day of fishing. Usually August, September, and October is where you can have the most amazing fishing with sulfurs. I don't have a sulfur pattern that I fish usually. I have what I call my marsh brown. It's my number one, probably color really brownish, and then shine of the pearl. And the size wise and the silhouette of that fly make the fish take it. And I have another version that has some copper wire on it. So the most important is the silhouette on this one and the size. So two great patterns to fish, I would say end of August, September, October. PMDs, they are all over Colorado. The only, most part of the time I fish the emergent stage of the PMD, a little bit of yellow dubbing, CDC wing, and at that same stage, when I fish dry dropper during that time, I use a lot of this sunrise vertigon. It's a little bit of yellow with red, and it works very well during September, August, September. When you have PMDs hatching, it's a very good pattern. Midges all year round, especially slow water on the Colorado. There's a lot of midges, so there's a fly that should have in your box. As midge nymphs, I like black, my number one choice, and a little bit of yellow work all it well too. If you are patient enough, tricos, early mornings. A little detail about trico fishing. You're gonna go to the river, you're gonna see clouds of tricos all over. And you think, yeah, that's the fly I gotta put. And you cast and cast and cast, and nothing happens. Because you go early, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, everything is happening. If you wait a couple hours, as soon as the sun starts hitting those clouds, those tricos gonna fall in the water, and that's when the fish gonna eat them. They don't eat them when they are flying, because they can not get there. But as soon as the sun is high, usually, I would say 9 o'clock already, 9, 10 o'clock, those tricos start landing on the water, and that's when you gotta trigger on that. Before that, the fish will be there, but they are not triggered on the tricos. Wait for the right moment to fish it. Because those clouds are gonna start landing on the water at some point, just need to be patient. And of course, terrestrials, beetles and grasshoppers, they fish very well, usually midsummer to fall. In Colorado, if you fish the banks, these terrestrials, you're gonna land some fish for sure. So I think I skipped probably 20 of the. No, I didn't. All right. So do you guys have any more questions about Colorado?
Yes, so they can hear you.
There's a lot of bottom, and also old.
The position of the fish on the water. So the question was, he didn't sold a lot of flies on the bottom, and he was told that the fish usually don't feed on the bottom, they feed more on the collar. It depends on the time, depends on what temperature. And if it's too low or too high, the water temperature is too high or too low, the fish will be quiet on the bottom, so you need to go where they are. It depends on the hatch. There's no hatches happening. the fish will be on the bottom. If there is bugs already been released and started hatching, those fish, you're gonna see those fish coming up slowly on top. Good, in the same pool, you're gonna see fish on the bottom. Hours later, you see some caddies launching, you see those fish coming up, and you're gonna see them on the surface. So that depends on the bugs. If the bugs are on the bottom, that's where they eat. If you have some emergence already, they'll be on the middle column. If they're hatching on top. So basically, water temperature and also, the hatches you have and what stage you have the bugs. They're gonna say if the fish will be on the bottom, middle column, or the high column. And that can change in 20 minutes. As a technique, start eating. If you feel that nothing is happening, start eating. Or two options. Or you start eating heavy and then you can slow up. Or do the opposite, do a softer approach. That is, start with the dry fly, fish in water, you see the dry fly. Nothing happened, but a dry water, go 2, 3 feet below the surface. Nothing happens, go deeper. And then change to a urine break. When you change to a urine break, make sure that you're fishing with 2 nets. Never change the 2 at the same time. Change the bottom one. If you change the bottom one to a heavy one and a deeper, and nothing happens, change the top one. And see this, you need to understand if this what is happening. The problem is how deep you're fishing or the flies you're fishing. So if you change both at the same time, you know if it's you're fishing too high or too low on the knowledge, or if you're using the wrong one. Change one at a time. You start super heavy. Do 2 or 3 drips and then super heavy rig. Doesn't work. Change the low fly on top. 2 or 3 times. Okay, then nothing happens. With a lighter fly, some fish, water left. Any more questions? Yeah. So I do fish first. And it's funny. I have a co-worker, Steve Corby. You may know him and he probably said hello to you every single time we get to the shop. So Steve Corby, he likes to fish lakes primarily. And he likes to fish with a follower and a leech. And I was fishing Colorado a couple of years ago. And I fished strippers. I fish smaller strippers. I don't like double hook strippers. And the reason is, I think they damage a little bit of the fish. They are too aggressive. I was casting strippers. And when you have water, especially when you have water of color, I think strippers are a good option. But I found that the Colorado is casting strippers and strippers. You do okay. What I found is every time you have a rainy day, water gets of color. I was fishing and I thought, if I was Steve Corby, what I would do. And I don't fish with water, so I put a big chubby on and a leech. And I cast it, and the first strip got a fish like first. Okay. And then what I did, I took Chernobyl out, the chubby out, and I two leeches. I was casting 2 leeches, stripping, and I had a take once in a while. So stripping doesn't work. It's not only the fly, it's the leech, but it's suspended and dead. And I was fishing a dead river with a streamer, and almost every cast I was having fish. That one, I own it to Corby. Because I'm gonna play some Corby today and fun, then it work. So when you have during summer, if you have some rain and the water gets off lower, leech pattern with the fish dry rubber with the leech pattern, and that works very well.
What other streams in Colorado that are within a day or so drive of us, do you put in the same category as the middle Colorado? what else should we put on our bucket list? This is a lot.
The lower Gunnison. Pleasure Park. Because Pleasure Park, there's a lot of rabbit, but also some clean water.
Is that Johnson?
Gunnison.
Below town house.
Oh, way below, way out, but, yeah, it's below, Blank Canyon. Another place that you can fish that way, the Northland, and even Wyoming, there's a lot of rivers that have that kind of slow water. Just be patient, put a dry fly, a dry rock, or, work it that way, and have a lot of fun. The Arkansas has some spots that you can fish the same way.
Below slider or
Below slider. Down, yeah. You need to get out of that pocket of water to get this kind of fish. All right, no more questions?
So I remember reading, when I first started fly fishing, that 80% of the trout, the food that trout eat are at the bottom, right? So the question is, and I, like a lot of people, I'd rather catch one on a dry than 5 underneath.
Me too.
Yeah, okay. So is that accurate? I guess is my question.
It is. I would like to say no, but it is. Because it was the opposite. It was 80% dry flies and 40% nymphing. I would probably got a couple of gold medals. The Czechs wouldn't do to me what they did a lot of times. But every time I fish any river I go, people that fish with me see that. I tend to start with a dry fly always. I need to take that out of my mind right away. And a lot of times what I do is choose a fly that you trust. Like the marsh brown. There is no marsh browns on the blue. I got more fish on my marsh brown on the blue than any other fly. They are not eating marsh brown, they have green drakes, and the size, the silhouette, and everything is similar. Every time I fish the rowing fork, that's the first fly that lands on the water. The reason is, if I step on the water, I don't see nothing, let me just check. Why should I go heavy with the streamer? Go so aggressive if I can cast a dry fly and let it, and let's take care of those fish that are looking up or they're not aware what is happening. That's the first thing I do. One of the reasons to have that hybrid leader is I like, if the fish are not on the surface, I like to nymph and catch fish, but I need to be able to do this and change to the dry flies right away. Because if I see a fish rising, I prefer one fish rising than 10 nymph. And you're right, but scientifically is correct. That is, if you think about any bug life cycle, and where they are more vulnerable is when they are nymphs, when they are emerging, or pupas, or they're by the surface. And then when they are spinners, they need to be on the water for the fish to eat them. So everything that is outside of the water, it's hard. But you're right. 80% will be nymphing, or 60% will be nymphing, or underwater, and 40% on top. I still choose the 40%.
So the middle Colorado, you'd rather, if you were float a real short section and get out and wait a lot, rather than covering 12 or 14 miles in a day.
Well, I don't float a lot. And when I float, it's with friends, and if I came with me and fish and all that, I know that day will be a day drink a little bit of mezcal and tequila and beers. Because the way I look to the rivers is, if I'm floating, I look to a river, I see a pocket, and I cast once, I don't have a take, and then that pocket is already up there. I get annoyed. But what do I do with, sometimes is, I ask, hey, let's stop in an island, let's stop here, let me fish for a couple hours, because I have time. When you have floating, you can access to spots that walking you don't. But, if you put that in your mind, yeah, I gotta float from point A to point B, stop, fish it. And then from point B to point C, fish it, that's a good way to cover all the water. But the size of the Colorado, if you shoot a riffle, a big one, you can spend 2 days fishing. Because you fish one side, there's one riffle that I mentioned before, it's probably 200, 300 yards, I never measured it, just the fast water, I fished one side of the river. I was never able to fish one side, cross and fish the other side, never. It's too much water, and if you do it that quickly, you're losing something. Something that is not, you're not doing well. If your mindset is, I'm gonna learn about this spot, I believe that it's fish here, I want to catch it. You're gonna fish with a dry fly, dry dropper, double net rig, and then you start going up and down on tippet, on flies, fly colors, fly sizes, and then you start crossing to the middle of the river and working there. And then you spend 2 hours in a room like this. And then you look and you have 200 yards more, it's impossible. If you want to fish it well, it's impossible. That's why the Colorado, you don't need to, you want to cover a lot of water, walk to a spot, be patient. I mean, you're gonna see boats coming down, just be patient, those fish will get back to eat, and what you're gonna do, get ready to go from dry fly, dry dropper to your nymph rig without moving your feet. Because I did that a lot of times. That's why it's my #1 river to fish. And I fish a lot of rivers in the world, and I don't know if there is a river that I think is more fun than Colorado. I fish a lot of rivers with more fish, rivers, more fish and bigger fish. I never got something outstanding on the Colorado, but the average size and number of fish can be amazing. Be amazing. And it's only 2 hours. And another thing that is very good, when I used to work for the shop, before I owned it, there is no cell phone coverage in there. It was amazing to get away from all that. But the Colorado has so many different waters that you can spend a lot of time without getting tired.
So you've been fishing 10, 11-foot rods per long rod. Yeah. And when you started using these rods, they were 2 feet or maybe 3. Do you feel the quality of the rods diminished as the number of sections has gone up?
No. My first 10-foot 3-weight was probably the year 2003. It was a prototype that an angler from France designed just to fish for small creeks for small fish. And the reason was bigger rods, stiffer rods, 4s and 5 weights, get a little fish and you lose it a lot of time. Longer rod, give you more reach, better drift control, and because it was softer, you wouldn't lose it much. Competing, that's important. Not losing. And that gentleman was competing against me on the Worlds, and he beat me so hard that I asked Bernard, he was from France, Bernard, what rod are you fishing with? Because I was fishing with an 8.5-foot long 4-weight, Thomas and Thomas. And I was all happy, it was a great rod at that time. And I started fishing, and he told me, this is a 10-foot 3-weight. And I looked at that, why? How can you cast this? And he explained me that. And he was nice enough to give me that rod. He went to France and then he sent me that rod. So 2003 was the first time I fished with once. And it was a 10-foot 3-weight, 3-piece. With time going, what happened is when you move from 3-piece to 4-piece, the technology is so far advanced that you don't notice. The 4-piece rods right now are way better performing than those rods in 2000, the years 2000, there were treatments. And of course, because of traveling, one of the main reason that we have 4-piece rods, I think is traveling. So, but I don't see any difference on performance right now. The technology is so good right now that the rods are lighter and they perform better than they used to.
So we don't need to come by these rods.
Did I say that?
You're just fine.
You need, because you need 3 of each. Okay?
We can't get our slides to come up outside.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
We kept your beer alive, Antonio.
I just got, that's why I had this in my hand. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Thanks, everyone, for coming to see these couple things before we wrap up. Here. If I get the slide up.
Sorry, I can't get it up on my,
So we have one more chapter meeting before the end of our fall through spring chapter meetings. It'll be here, but it'll be on Monday, April 1st, not Wednesday, Monday, April 1st. And we're really happy to have Owen Wright coming. He's one of the top fish biologists for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. He is the main guy behind the greenback restoration across and other cutthroat restoration across Colorado. It'll be a really, really fun talk to hear what's going on in Colorado, where the greenbacks are and where they're going. Hope you can join us for that. A couple of things to keep in mind. We'll be sending out notices. We're starting to get them on social media and the like. There'll be a Boulder Creek cleanup day on Saturday, April 4th, I think it is. All the details will come on that. And we're going to do a Big Thompson in collaboration with our Fort Collins chapter. All of this is being also sponsored by Harbor Anglers over in Louisville. We'll be doing the Big Thompson the end of July. I think it's July 27th, Saturday, 27th. So those cleanup days will be a great opportunity to get out and do some things to help our creeks and rub elbows with some other fishing fanatics that are here in the room. And then lastly, the other thing to keep in mind, we'll have our pig roast, our big fundraiser in the fall. We're trying to get a park lined up, and we'll be the last weekend of September or the first weekend of October. So keep an eye open for those. We've got stuff on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on our website, and we send out email blasts. And I'm sure most of you get a lot of the information.
Stephen, on the Boulder Creek cleanup, I think that's May 4th.
I'm sorry, May 4th. May 4th. May 4th. Right. Thank you. We also have a couple of things going on with the city of Erie. At the Erie Community Center, we're going to be doing a stream program that's kind of STEM, if you will, for the stream. We'll be doing that community center for families. Barbara, what's the dates on those?
May 4th in the morning, we're gonna do a macroinvertebrates unit, and we need a couple volunteers for that. And then July, I wanna say 26th and 27th, that'll be a daytime program. Working with young kids and then teaching them some STEM and probably watershed games. And we need volunteers for that also.
Again, this will all be posted on the various social media and website, and we email blasts going out over time as these things roll out over the summer. Lastly, we'll have our hike and fish activities going on this summer. One of our new members, Jordan, is going to be organizing those, and those will be where we meet at a parking lot. We hike up to a high mountain lake, typically in the Indian Peaks, fish for the day, come back, tailgate, barbecue in the parking lot. Those are great fun, and we'll get those dates set up here and get those out communicated to you as well. So thanks everybody again for coming tonight. This has been really great, wonderful crowd. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Antonio.
It just keeps defaulting back to, well. Oh no,
Oh, yeah, probably there.
it might be. Yeah, it's weird. I can't get it to get so I can actually maneuver. Well, anyways, it worked well. All right, thanks.
I gotta go visit our friend. Bad feelings like I think we're getting. Now, they were getting into that. Let me spend money. No, I think we should actually get advertised very well. I think now we got Fred, even this, the name of it.